Live right now with Larry Nichols. Larry, how you doing today, my friend?
Doing okay. Doing okay for a guy that's doing okay.
It's good to hear you doing okay, Larry. I've been making
Yeah.
some changes here in the studio in an effort to try to improve the sound quality. So hopefully that's working and people can hear you a little better than on some of our previous broadcasts. We're going to be talking today, of course, about your old friend, Larry, Mrs. Clinton.
That's right.
Now, did you have an
Remember what I told you.
Yeah,
She's running for president.
I think you're correct,
Remember that.
Larry. I really do. I mean, some of the people that I speak to say that that's ridiculous, that she's not going to run, that the Democrats won't allow her to. But I agree with you. I do not think she would be romping about, going around, doing all these stupid meetings if she wasn't preparing for that. She's also been so adamantly slamming Trump. I mean, obviously that's one of her favorite things to do. But I just wanted to ask if you had heard this statement that Hillary Clinton had made with regard to, why don't I play it so that everybody can hear it, and you should be able to hear it as well. Let's give it a try.
All right.
And I don't want to go around insulting people. I don't want to paint with a broad brush. Every immigrant is this, every African American is that, every, other person with, different religious beliefs or whatever. That's childish.
What do you think of Cory Booker's? And you didn't comment on him, and you feel free.
Oh, I adore him.
What do you think about him saying kick them in the shins, essentially? Start to get to that kind of political.
Well, that was Eric Holder.
Yeah, Eric Holder,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know they all look alike.
No, they don't.
I mean, Larry, that is a totally unacceptable comment by any measure, wouldn't you say?
By any measure other than the Clintons. Now, I'm going to give you a comment that Hillary used constantly when I worked with them. Little Dickie Morris would be in the meetings. Mm-hmm. And if he objected to what Hillary was trying to get done, if he in the least bit objected, when he was walking out of the room, she'd say, "The little fat Jew bastard."
That's crazy.
And she constantly slammed the Jews. I mean,
Really?
Constantly. She just couldn't get by a day without doing that.
Wow. It's amazing, Larry.
Not
There
to
seems to be...
She speaks very lowly of blacks in private.
Right. Well, I mean, there seems to be a really dangerous and alarming increase in hatred towards Jewish people. I first became exposed to that when I started doing these live streams through Crowdsource the Truth. I'm a pretty secular Jewish guy. Religion is not a huge part of my life, and I grew up in New York, obviously tons of Jewish people around. I never really was subjected to any kind of, bias like that, never been persecuted at all, but there's so many people making horrible negative comments online, and they're all accusing Donald Trump. We had this guy in Pittsburgh shoot up the synagogue the other day, obviously a horrendous crime, and they're trying to attribute this to Donald Trump.
Look, if they found diamonds in America, just the biggest diamond mine in the world, mm-hmm. they would slam Trump over something. Now, if Mars aligned up with Pluto and something never before done that doesn't even make sense, they would blame Trump.
Right.
Now, this is something that people got to get over, but it's what we've got to defeat in November. We've got to defeat it. I mean, we're talking about a country going ballistic. Yeah. We truly are.
It's shocking.
Yeah, we're right at the edge. You know, I did a piece that's on the web thing of mine. You can put it on this one if you want to.
Sure.
I just had enough. You know, I've just had enough. So you know what I did? I just turned on the mic and started talking about how we, all of us, how we've let everybody down. You know, we hear this all the time. I know you do. Well, what can we do? Well, what can we do? There's nothing we can do. But damn it, do something. We've never had a president work as hard as this one is to try to save that midterm. Does anybody realize 18 seats in the House? Now, y'all, you need to do some quick math here. 18 seats in the House. If the Democrats knock the Republicans to 17 seats in the House, they got it. They got it.
Wow.
And Trump will be impeached immediately upon them being sworn in January. Be over. Over. There's no way we should be sitting on our laurels. There's no way we should be sitting down trying to convince ourselves that we're some kind of great patriot when we're not. Great patriots fight for this country. We're not fighting.
Well, we're trying, Larry. I think a lot of people are doing the best they can. Trump, of course, has been, as you pointed out, he's been doing these rallies. He's got an unbelievable amount of strength and energy and stamina for a man over 70. It's really impressive. I mean, he doesn't look like he goes to the gym too much or anything, so he's obviously a pretty sturdy guy. I want to continue to ask you some questions about Hillary's demeanor over the years that you've known her. I mean, certainly if Donald Trump came out and made the statement that Hillary Clinton made, saying that he thinks all black people look the same, that would be a banner headline on the New York Times. He might be impeached today for something like that. Yet Hillary Clinton, I've barely seen anything about that statement.
You're not going to. Look, we are in a contrived media world. They are out. It's out. It's over. Do you hear me? It's over. Jason, it's all out war. It's us or them. Why can't people see this? It's us or them in November.
Let me ask you a specific question.
Kids, you better make it them, not us.
Right. Let me ask you this, Larry, because I want to focus on Hillary Clinton's demeanor and the lies that they are spreading about Donald Trump. We've heard that Donald Trump is a Nazi, that he's supporting Nazis, that he's doing all this stuff. Obviously, his daughter she's converted to Judaism. Her children are Jewish. Her husband is Jewish. She's working with Israel. A lot of people think that Hillary is this champion of minorities and, all the people that they target their Democratic rhetoric at. I want to talk about her relationship to Robert Byrd. A lot of people may not realize that Hillary gave a video eulogy when Byrd died. He, of course, was not just a member of the KKK, he was a grand cyclops. And even saying that sounds somewhat ridiculous, but this is a designation that the KKK came up with, not me. What can you say about Senator Byrd, Larry? Did you ever deal with him?
I didn't deal with him. I never dealt with him at all.
Okay.
They knew that there were certain limits to which I would not go. They knew it. And that was one of them. You know, you're never going to get me to play the role of supporting the KKK, communism, or any of that. You're just not going to do it. You're not going to make me do it. You can't make me do it. You can't pay enough money to do it.
Why do you think they were so eager to say that, oh, Robert Byrd is a nice guy, because in the last couple years of his life, despite being a part of an organization for so many years that literally hung and killed people just because they were black, that he renounced that in the latter part of his life, so everything is okay, but yet Brett Kavanaugh drank a beer in high school and they want to crucify the guy. How do they justify this? How can people believe these things?
Oh, God. Listen, this is. You ever wonder why I go around and tell people on the radio I'm a scumbag? You ever wonder about that? I mean, I come out and say it, I'm a scumbag. You know?
It's humorous when you say it, but I don't know.
Humorous, but it's true. Now, let me explain. You've got Kavanaugh, who apparently from birth was being groomed to be somebody in the political arena, probably a judge. I mean, he, by standards of looking at me, he was Mr. Perfect. But who's the fool? Him or me? See, when the media comes to me and says, hey, this person said this, that, or the other about you, you know what I say?
What?
Well, hell, you didn't ask me anything else. I did a lot worse than that. And I did, probably. Why would I live the standard when I knew, Jason, I knew in a split second, if they needed to, they would destroy me. And I would not be credible. Isn't it funny, when I was with them, hell, I was the Arkansas Athlete of the Year. When I was with them, I got every kind of accolade there was. But the day I went against them, boom, it was over.
Remind me, Larry, what was the turning point for you that caused you to speak out against the Clintons?
Cocaine. When I found out about MENA, when I found out they were laundering money from MENA, Arkansas, through the agency that I worked, $100 million a month, laundering that money with Lassiter. I went to Bill and said, that's a bridge too far. I can't be a part of that. I gave him 2 weeks to tell the truth, or I would. He didn't, so I did.
So that was from the Arkansas Financial Development Association, is that right?
Yeah, Arkansas Financial Development Authority.
Development Authority, right. And
that was nothing but just a slush fund for Bill.
Right. So
and
this
his friends.
Sort of a precursor to the Clinton Foundation, wasn't it? I mean, we sort of need to look back in time to understand how these guys work.
It is the template for the Clinton Foundation. When we designed the 86 plan, that was the template to take national. And
of course, it still exists, right? I mean, is it still corrupt? What's going on with the ADFA today?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Look, the government in Arkansas is corrupt, but probably not more so than New York, probably not more so than Virginia, probably not more so than any million places, but it's corrupt. And you're not going to walk in to a third-rate state like Arkansas and wave a magic wand and clean it up. You're not going to do it.
You've just raised another important point that speaks to the modus operandi, the pattern and practice of the Clintons. Now, you grew up in Arkansas, didn't you?
That's right.
Born there. Public school there. I should look this up, but I do believe Arkansas is one of the most financially depressed and educationally low on the rung of all states in the union. And the Clintons seem to have this tendency to target the weak. They go to countries that are economically weak, politically weak, the people have very little voice. And it strikes me that perhaps they did the same thing in Arkansas. Did either Bill or Hillary grow up in Arkansas? Bill did, right?
Yeah, Bill did. Hillary didn't. Look, they did. They play on the weak because you can take people that are hopeless, helpless. Well, we had a thing we always said. I'll give you a little story that we used to help us keep our bearing. We'd say to Bill, Bill, you're on the ship. Now, a guy falls off the boat and he needs help. Now, you're sitting there with a life preserver. Now, you know you can't throw that life preserver in and turn that boat around and save him. You know you can't do it. It takes too much time for the boat to turn. It'll never happen. Well, what you do is what Bill always does. You throw him the life preserver and say, look, you make me captain of this boat, and I promise you I'll turn it around and pick you up. Now, that guy is going to he's going to vote for you to be captain, isn't he?
Sure.
He's going to hang on a prayer.
His life depends on it.
Well, he's dead. Bill's lying to him. He ain't turning the boat around. He can't turn the boat around. If the man were in another situation, he would know you can't turn a big ship like that around. You're dead, and he should be making peace with his Lord. But
Right.
no, not Bill.
Right.
Not Bill. He's telling, stick with me, buddy. Give me your vote. And that's how they operate. They go, it's two different operations. They get their vote from the poor, their money from the rich.
Right.
They always did it.
So they really have, for a huge portion of their career, they've essentially scammed black people in America, convincing them that they're...
Absolutely.
Yeah. Convincing them somehow that they're advocates of black people when in fact they openly mock them. And I want to show another clip real briefly. You should be able to hear and see it as well. Let me play this for everybody here. This is Hillary Clinton speaking at a private fundraising event, I suppose in somebody's house, and a young black woman is there with a sign.
Reform, criminal justice reform, and all the like. So I think we've got a very, we've got somebody saying here, we have to bring them
apologize for mass incarceration.
Heal. Okay, we'll talk
I'm
about
not a super predator, Hillary Clinton.
Okay, fine, we'll talk about it.
Apologize to black people for mass incarceration.
Well, can I talk and then maybe you can listen to what I say? Okay, fine. Thank you very much. There's a lot of issues in this campaign.
So Larry, this is a young black woman, maybe 20, I don't know, 25, and basically she's holding up a sign that's got Hillary's quote from when Hillary said that black youth were super predators who needed to be brought to heel. And then this woman is basically grabbed and ushered out of the place. Hillary's just given her lip service saying, we'll talk about it, we'll talk about it. Tell us a little bit about that incident where Hillary made that statement about super predators needing to be brought to heel. Were you with the Clintons at that time?
You bet. You bet. You have to understand, Jason, that Bill is a charisma candidate. I mean, he's a politician.
Right.
Hillary is not. She is a resume candidate. She has no personality. You don't want her around people. You don't want scenes like that to occur. That's why when she ran for the Senate for New York, if you'll recall, the big deal was they put up a rope line and never let her talk to anybody. That's why she can't deal with it.
Right.
But we were constantly besieged in Arkansas with blacks that over the years the Clintons had promised and promised and promised they were going to do this for them, that for them, whatever. Bill could lie and cheat and steal his way out of it. Hillary could not.
Right.
And Hillary adopted this strategy she wanted all of us to use. Those blacks out there, and she didn't say black, she said those ends. Those people are super predators. And I don't want to hear of them getting a damn thing.
Wow.
That's where it went.
There's been so many reports over the years of Hillary using that word, the N-word, as it were, and just expressing hatred in a variety of ways. A lot of people, I don't understand why, continue to doubt the story told by Danny Williams, that his mother was a prostitute in Arkansas, and that Bill Clinton had an affair with her, resulting in Danny's birth, and that Bill Clinton sent Arkansas state troopers to their home every Christmas with money and gifts and things like this. I believe we've even had an Arkansas state trooper corroborate that. What can you say about Danny Williams?
Hey, do you want me to burst your bubble?
Yeah.
Danny Williams is not Bill Clinton's kid.
How do you know that?
Now, I know Patterson and Perry think he is, and they did send Patterson into his mother's house to grab a portrait that was somewhere on one of the cabinets that looked like him. But it wasn't his kid.
How do you know?
Bill Clinton and I were sitting at the barbecue joint between Altus and Fayetteville, as we oftentimes did. And I asked Bill, weren't you concerned about knocking some of these women up? And he said, no, I'm sterile. I can't have babies.
Right, yeah.
He shoots blanks.
Well, we've heard that from Juanita Broderick as well, but then there's so many inconsistencies in his story. I mean, we've heard that, is it Buell Hubble is the actual father of Chelsea, but...
He is. Bill told me that. Bill told me that Webb Hubble was Chelsea's dad, because I asked him, at the same time he told me that he was, shot blanks. I said, what about Chelsea? He said, that's Hubble's kid.
Well, wow. I mean, I don't know enough about the mumps or medical stuff or whatever. I mean, Bill Clinton saying that he's shooting blanks is certainly not genetic proof that Danny Williams is not Bill Clinton's son. Why would Bill Clinton send, did you, or should I say, can you confirm or deny that Arkansas state troopers did deliver Christmas gifts to Danny Williams? They did. You're saying they did?
They did.
So why would Bill do that if he's not his son?
Because they didn't want to stink. And it was best to put it out, even though it wasn't true. They wanted it shut up.
So why do you suppose Bill wouldn't do a DNA test to prove once and for all? I mean, Danny Williams looks a hell of a lot like Bill.
If he ever opened up that can of worms, it'd be 50 women doing DNA tests right behind him.
Huh.
Bill Clinton cannot do not one DNA test for paternal type stuff. Because if he does, all these other women have what they need.
Well, I don't know. Danny's told some pretty compelling stories about his aunt taking him to the governor's mansion and Hillary slamming the door in his face. Perhaps Bill's testimony that he, shoots blanks and is sterile is true. But then, I mean, people who are supporters of Bill Clinton and would say that I'm being wacky to suggest that Danny Williams might be his son, if he's shooting blanks, then we can't explain Chelsea. So there's some major problem with you
can't explain Chelsea because when I broke with Chelsea being Hubble's kid, they put out a memo that Chelsea and Hubble were never to be on a stage together again, and they haven't been.
Really? Is Buell
Have
Hubble
not
still
been.
alive?
Sure. He works for Stevens.
Is that his name, Buell or Webb Hubble?
Webster Hubble. I know
Huh.
you're just trying to trip me up, but you're not.
No, sorry. I just can't remember the guy's name. So, and he was another Rose Law Firm guy, or what's the story with Webb
He
Hubble?
was with Rose Law Firm. He's the one that brought Hillary into Rose.
Boy, he sure does look like her.
Yeah, no joke. Think about it. And that's after she had a face job.
Chelsea did.
Chelsea did.
They should get their money
And
back
by the
for
way,
that.
for people that think Hillary and Bill would run Chelsea, you're sick. That's not the Clintons. It's about Hillary, not Chelsea. Hillary wants to go down in history. She wants to go down in history as the most powerful woman in the history of the world.
And certainly the first female president of the United States. We could see how that might even be a maniacal obsession for a megalomaniac like Hillary. So let me take you
And
back.
I'm telling you, she will use resumes to do it.
Right.
She will make Trump out to be what he needs to be to lose. She will make her out to be what she needs to be to win.
Right.
How do I know? Because I designed that program. Look, Jason, they're the first. Larry Sabato even said it. They're the first, what are you going to call them, mechanical candidates? I mean, they have taken politics to a science.
There's definitely things that they're doing that are sort of prototypical efforts that seem to be derived from things tested by the Bushes, and the Obamas would seem to be modeling after them. They have kind of arrived at the perfect formula for political corruption. Let me take you back to some of the racist claims against Hillary Clinton, because I really do find it unbelievable that anyone who is black or Jewish or any of these things that you're saying Hillary Clinton has spoken out so hatefully about would support her. There was this incident where Hillary Clinton went on to a radio show called The Breakfast Club, and she was the hosts of the show are black, and she was talking about having hot sauce in her purse with her everywhere that she goes. What the hell is that all about?
I have no idea. That one got by me.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was sort of trying to ingratiate herself to some imaginary segment of the black community, but it was really quite ridiculous. And then there are people who still aren't convinced that Hillary was close friends with this guy, Robert Byrd, who was, in fact, a Klan member. And there's this famous photograph of her being kissed on the face by him. And I mean, Byrd, there's a picture of him right here. He's wearing a Klan outfit. He's got a Confederate flag on it. He looks, you know, his hair is white, his skin is wrinkled. He looks pretty close to the end of his life. I'm not exactly sure when he renounced the KKK. And I mean, it's not to say that somebody couldn't potentially do that. There was a film I saw about, I think it was a blues singer, it was a black guy who went around the country introducing himself to KKK members, and his mission was to collect as many of the KKK robes as he could, because every time he collected one, it was because he had won over that former Klansman and befriended him and shown the guy the error of his ways. And through much of this documentary, he's interacting with these guys who have then renounced the KKK. But I don't think most people would really do that. And how much of Byrd's life could have possibly been spent in his new reformed state if we see him here looking pretty close to the way that he looked when he died, and he's got the Klan robe and everything?
I don't know. It's called we call it the broken coalition.
The broken
You
what?
have to excuse the broken coalition.
What's that?
We could go out and we could get the homosexuals. We could get the blacks. We could get the KKK. We could get the people that hate KKK. We could get the people. You get the geeks, the computer geeks. You get all these different segments that ordinarily would not provide enough votes to make a difference, right?
Ah,
But if you put them all together and form the broken coalition,
got it.
now you got a sizable vote.
It's kind of like rummaging
And that's
through
what
your
we did.
drawers for change to put together money. If you do that, you might find a couple of $100, depending on how frequently you do it and how much change you have around.
Well, that's what they do. That's how they do it.
Interesting. Now, of course, there is someone doing the opposite of that. We've got Brandon Straka's Walk Away March that just happened in Washington, D.C. this weekend. And Brandon is a gay man who recently became a conservative after realizing all the hypocrisy of liberalism and the Democratic Party. So that was a really successful event for Brandon, and he was even commended by President Trump, who congratulated him on Twitter. So that was a pretty great event. What do you see anything?
How come I didn't see anything about it? How come I didn't see anything about it?
As it was suppressed from the mainstream media.
No, so it wasn't a great event.
Well, I think it was, because it was a step in the right direction. There was a fair amount of coverage in the alternative media. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there, but there were a lot of people there. I think Owen Schroyer from InfoWars was there, and it was a successful turnout by all accounts, I would say. But can you tell us any more, Larry, about personally witnessing Hillary saying or doing things that would be considered blatantly racist?
God. If Hillary is walking and talking, she is blatantly racist. And she has around her a staff of people that have one job, and that's to cover her mouth.
Wow.
One. And just like I told you, during her race for the Senate in New York, you got to know something was going on, don't you? That they put rope lines blocking her from the media. Nobody could come up and talk to her. Well, that's what that's all about. And nobody could come talk to her.
Yeah. Now, I'm just
But-
curious to see here, Larry. The Huffington Post is a pretty left-leaning, I think it would be safe to say, publication. And they've got this article here saying that Kerry Washington, this just came out today. At 7:30 in the morning, and Hillary made this comment yesterday. Kerry Washington is making a passionate plea to people to be mad about Kavanaugh. Now, yesterday on national television, Hillary Clinton said all black people look alike, and now we have a black actress coming out and telling people to be mad about Brett Kavanaugh, who we have no evidence that he did any of the things that he's been accused of. This is just so mind-bending to me that people would fall for this crap.
Now, that's the lawyer in her. That's the lawyer in her. You know, she's got a great case. She's in a case in court, which, by the way, she never adjudicated a case. But anyway, she has a great case in court where she gets to present her side of the evidence and the defendant doesn't.
Right.
I mean, for an attorney, that's a home run.
Yeah, for sure.
But just remember this, Jason. If you cross them, everyone in this audience listening to me, you may think I'm funny. You may think I'm funny. You may think it's funny that I say I'm a scumbag, whatever. In their eyes, you are.
Right.
In their eyes, you are. Matter of fact, in their eyes, they're more afraid of me than they are you.
You know, Larry,
'Cause
I
I've
get
proven,
Sorry.
I've proven I can cut through the stuff and get to them.
Yeah.
You haven't. Not you,
Right.
but I'm talking about your audience.
The people, right. I mean, I get the general impression that the Clintons and people like that have to regard the people of the United States and, frankly, other people around the world in the same way that the average person would regard an ant or some even more troublesome insect. They will just kill without regard, destroy a country like Libya. It's another really important point. Not only have the Clintons basically, destroyed Haiti, and I mean, Haitian friends that I've had and anyone I've ever spoken to from Haiti is well aware of this fact. People in Haiti basically hate the Clintons, but they've also run ripshod over many countries in Africa. They have been part of, disseminating dangerous, untested drugs in countries that, they claim they're helping HIV. I just don't know how people in the black community can ignore these activities. There's quite a lot of photographs of protesters and people who have signs proclaiming this stuff, and they just get totally dismissed. And the other thing that I found very interesting is that Hillary made this comment yesterday, and if we just Google Hillary Clinton, and they all look the same. Now, Larry, as we said, if Donald Trump had said this, I think you'd see Rachel Maddow doing a 24-hour telethon. Anderson Cooper would be having a ticker tape parade, and every, New York Times, Washington Post, all that stuff would at least be commenting on it. And the top search results on Google are coming from the Washington Examiner, Fox News, Zero Hedge, Washington Times, RT, The Hill, all right. But I don't see the New York Times, I don't see CNN, I don't see MSNBC, I don't see the Washington Post, I don't see Newsweek. They are ignoring this comment.
Mm-hmm. They are.
When will people
That's
catch
how
on?
they win. Well, see, that's the problem. It's back to the life preserver off the boat.
Yeah.
You're in the black community, and it looks like the world's coming in on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody at least says, hey, vote for me, and I'll throw you a life preserver, and I'll turn this ship around and come save you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they're going to do?
Yeah. Well, to get to a little bit more substantial aspect of this conversation, I wonder if you can give us some of your insights into the Clinton crime bill. I do believe that super predator comment was closely linked to Bill passing this crime bill, which in later years, I think during the campaign against Donald Trump, he admitted himself that it was a bad decision. What can you say about that crime bill that was passed?
Well, that is something that I would have never allowed Bill to have a part in. I wouldn't have. But it's done, and it was a bad bill. Very bad. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because it's cutting into his broken coalition. Don't you see? I mean, you don't cut people out. You cut them in.
Right.
Now, once you get elected, then you do whatever you want to do. Never forget that, Jason. It
Right.
don't matter what you want to do. You can say, I'm going to build a wall. You can say, I'm going to rebuild the Eiffel Tower. You can say, I'm going to give everybody $1 million. You can
Right.
say any of that you want. But here's the reality. You can't do any of it if you don't get elected.
Right. Many people would say, Larry, that this crime bill basically was aimed at destroying black families in America and boosting up the for-profit prison industry. There was a documentary directed by Ava DuVernay called 13th, and it talks about how the 13th Amendment of the Constitution enables slavery through incarceration, and that this Clinton crime bill really increased the level of people behind bars in the United States. Certainly, it's well known that there's a huge percentage of the population in the United States in jail, and a lot of it is attributed to this crime bill.
Jason, I don't know what to say. Something's got to be done. You know, look, we cannot put everyone in jail. We can't.
Right.
Now, maybe the blacks got it figured out. Maybe they got it figured to where, you know, hey, eventually they're going to have so many of us that they can't pay for us all. But I assure you, privatizing the jails is not the answer.
Huge problem.
You're still paying for it.
Right.
That's why this whole thing on the borders has got to be resolved, because you're dealing with a whole nother group of people that are going to cost us money to deal with in our legal system.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, President Trump is treating it as an invasion of the country, and I must say, I agree with him. When we've got an organized group of thousands storming the border, that is not simply illegal immigration. That is, in fact, by definition, an invasion. And I absolutely support President Trump's commitment to send the armed forces to protect the border. I mean, if they were all Russian, Hillary Clinton would be applauding the military meeting them at the border, wouldn't they?
Yep. I mean, yes. I mean, hell, Obama, all of them. They were taking a hardline stance on them. Just now, since Trump's doing it, it's out of bounds.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like they've succeeded in creating a bizarro world where they want people to invade the country, and when we have a president whose family has religious diversity, they accuse him of being a Nazi. I mean, that is absurd. You know, I've grown up my entire life in New York City, and Donald Trump has been in the news for the past 40 years that I'm aware of, and on television and everything. And I think that if you were in New York City and, you know, racist and anti-Jewish and all the stuff they accuse him of being, you would never last.
No. I tell you what would be funny. It won't happen, but it would be funny. If Hillary decided to run, which she's going to, and Oprah Winfrey decides to run. Now, that means Hillary has got to destroy Oprah. And I don't know if she's got the muscle to do that.
You think Oprah?
She might, but
You think Oprah's going to run?
no.
I think Michelle Obama is a sensible candidate for the Democrats to run, because she's certainly the opposite of Donald Trump. And I think, although I don't want Michelle Obama to be president, I think that she would appeal to people who inherently dislike Donald Trump. And I think it fits with the plan the Obamas have for modeling their dynasty after the Clintons and having a essentially fraudulent foundation that they can funnel money to. Barack Obama is jockeying to become the UN Secretary General, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the job they won't be able to get. But Obama wants it, so that's going to be the battle royal.
Wow.
If Hillary gets president, then Bill will be, within 6 months to a year, he will be Secretary General of the UN.
Wow.
The reason I know that's because that's in the playbook. That's in the 86 plan.
The 86 plan that you participated in called for Bill to become the Secretary General. What else was in that plan?
Hillary become president, he'd become Secretary General. And basically, it is a blueprint for achieving global power. Power. Power that excels them above anyone, period, ever in history, in biblical history. They want to be the new Bible.
But it's a Luciferian Bible, right? I mean, you used to drive her to these coven meetings and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I drove them to the airport. She got on the plane and went to them, but yeah. Look, I don't think there's any more religion in her for the devil than there is for her in Jesus Christ. I just don't think that figures in. I think she just goes with the tide, whichever one she needs to be at the moment.
You know, Larry, while we're talking, I want to remind everybody that they can go to your website at nicholslive.com, and Larry's got his blog posts up there. Is that the video posting that you were talking about earlier, Larry? Can people get to that from Nichols Live, or is that on your YouTube channel? Oh, they can. Where do they get that? The blog?
I don't know what you call that stuff, but it's on the Nichols Live.
Okay. Well, people can go and explore nicholslive.com. Larry's got some blog posts on there. And of course, people who want to sponsor Larry financially can donate to him. Larry's been joining me every week for some time now, sharing these stories with us and remembrances of his time with the Clintons, some of the more objectionable things that they've done. It's interesting to me, Larry, that, you know, we can sort of put together a timeline. I mean, most people don't seem to stick around working for the Clintons that long. There's Gary Byrne, who was a Secret Service agent who worked with the Clintons. Do you know Gary? Have you dealt with him at all?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What can you tell
when
us
he
about
came
him?
out, he was scared, pretty scared.
He's got a lawsuit going against the Clintons right now, you know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He's the one that went to the Christmas party and they had all the condoms on the tree.
What do you mean?
He went to the Christmas party at the White House. And they had all these condoms and everything as the ornaments on the tree.
That is so distasteful.
Our White House. Our Christmas tree.
That's crazy. I need to call Gary and figure out what's going on with his lawsuit. He brought a really scathing lawsuit against the Clintons, and we had the opportunity to speak with him. But so have you had much personal interaction with him? Have you guys swapped stories and compared notes?
Some. I mean, back then we did.
Okay.
Recently, no. I mean,
but there was a bit of a handoff, right? Because when Bill became president, you know, you weren't with them anymore. There were all these new people who came in and sort of got together with them there. And it's sort of a need to piece together the timelines to get the full story. I do recall Gary saying that Hillary would really be demeaning to people that worked in the White House that were black, the waiters that were there, or various support staff. And I mean, it seems to be corroborated by so many people, and yet it's always just dismissed as right-wing conspiracy or people who hate women making this stuff up. It's just stunning to me that anything that they do can be ignored by the public, and anything they say that Donald Trump does gets taken up and becomes a front page story. That's their primary skill.
That's the system that he brought from Arkansas, where you totally control everything, Jason. You control the media. You control it all. That's what you get. That's what they've got. And it's hard as hell to beat, buddy. Trust me.
Right. Well, I mean, that is certainly part of the reason why there's all this freak out going on with social media right now. Of course, you might have heard that Laura Loomer was suspended from Twitter for 6 days and 23 hours or something like that. They did it at a time that made it just exactly to the day that Laura will be off Twitter until after the election. So I know social media is a little bit kind of, not your forte, but it's interesting to see how now that the mainstream news narrative has lost some of its hold on people, and there are more and more people turning to social media to get their news, alternative sources like NicholsLive.com and our conversations here on Crowdsource the Truth. There's been a really noticeable push to control the flow of information over social media. It's quite disturbing. Larry? Larry, have I got you? I think we've got disconnected from Larry. Let me try calling Larry back here. Sorry about that, everybody.
Hello?
You okay, Larry? We lost you there for a second.
I don't know, it just went off.
Okay, you're coming back. We'll get you back on the sound here. I think it says connecting. Well, anyway, I was just pointing out how this social media purge is very troubling. Yeah, I think we somehow lost our connection there. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but this is part of the reason, Larry, why we're trying to make a move towards Patreon.com. And of course, people watching now, I hope they'll go to Patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and become sponsors of the show. It's very disturbing to see what's going on. I don't know if you know this, Larry, but Barack Obama, towards the end of his presidency, handed over control of ICANN to an international body, and that gives up a lot of the control over the internet to foreign entities. And now we see all this suppression of freedom of speech, whether it's Twitter, and Gab, which was an alternative to Twitter, was totally taken down and is completely unavailable. Normally, viewers can watch the live broadcasts that you've been joining me for each week on YouTube or Gab or Periscope, but Gab is basically completely down right now. You've spoken quite a bit about suppression of free speech, and we're seeing it happen right now.
Yep, we sure are. Now listen, my wife's here, we gotta go to the doctor, but let's get it on real quick. I wanna promote the program.
Sure.
And it's, what is it, Paragon?
Patreon.com.
Patreon. Fuck, I can't remember. All right.
Don't worry about it. But I appreciate you saying that. And I also want to make sure that people are visiting NicholsLive.com. Obviously, Larry has an ongoing need for healthcare support and his day-to-day expenses. So if people are enjoying the stories that Larry shares with us, his experiences with the Clintons and his general insights into politics and the state of our country, I hope that they will go to NicholsLive.com and sponsor Larry. Larry, I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's difficult for you sometimes to take an hour out of the day, but definitely get over to the doctor there and take care of yourself, and we'll speak to you next week, all right?
Sounds good. Thank you all.
All right, Larry. Take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'm going to be back at 5 p.m. Eastern speaking with Laura Loomer about Jack Dorsey's unceremonious removal of Laura from Twitter, so don't miss that. And please go to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and sponsor the show. Thanks for watching, everybody.